This is going to be a tough one. Hello everyone, Scott here, and today I want to talk about Toxicity in Dead by Daylight. This was originally going to be two separate scripts, but I realized that the topics were kind of similar, so I just compiled the scripts into one instead. Before I get into the video, I would like to state that I'm what most people would consider a survivor main, since I have 90% time as a survivor and 10% time as a killer, last time I checked at least. So many would consider me a survivor main, so bear that in mind. With that out of the way, let's head on into the video. For some reason, survivors are the most salty people in Dead by Daylight, and I kinda have an idea on what's going on, and I will cover it later in the video. Don't get me wrong, killers are toxic as well, and sometimes display toxic behavior when playing the game, but I experience more from survivors, as they say stuff like, "Why did you camp?" or "Why did you slug me?" And what people need to understand is that killers utilize the tools they have been given by behavior. So they aren't doing anything wrong, they are basically just utilizing game mechanics to their advantage. Another thing I would like to add is basically that survivors can't control how the killer plays, not directly at least. But survivors still think they have the right to tell the killer how to play the game, and of course can, but they shouldn't for even a moment think about the killer going to play like you want them to. Killers display behavior at times, like tunneling at 5 gens, which I believe is a shitty way to play the game, and I get the strategy part of it, as I've done it myself, but I would only do it when I'm screwed with like 1 to 2 gens left, and not just in the beginning to make things easier. Doing it at 1 or 2 gens left is, in my opinion, fine, as I can see the strategy part of this, as I explained before. But if you're going to tunnel out one survivor at 5 gens, I think that's a shitty behavior. Slugging is also something killers do to be toxic. However, I see this as a less common practice, and I only see it when 2 survivors are left, or when another survivor kind of forces them into a chase. The last thing I can think of we can add as well is teabagging survivors who get downed. Basically the killer going back and forward, or basically nodding their heads. I've seen some of these in the 2v8 game mode as well, and I think it's a pathetic behavior to do. And I would like to add, though, that making a 2-second teabag doesn't bother me, but continuously standing and teabagging is something I see as unsportsmanlike behavior to engage in. So yeah, I don't complain when killers teabag quickly for 1 to 2 seconds, or if a survivor teabags at an exit gate. The problem comes up whenever the survivor continuously teabags at a gate and a killer continuously teabags a survivor who gets downed. Or basically hitting them on hook multiple times. As I talked about earlier, then I want to mention why I think this behavior occurs from survivors. I think the explanation from killers is just some people just like to farm salt from others and feed off of others' meltdowns. Survivors are nothing more than chickens running around in a trial, as they have no other way to fight the killer than chases, flashlights, and pallets, which makes them vulnerable to attacks from the killer. And some survivors display this behavior when things don't go their way, and commonly voiced opinions when on hook or slogged on the ground. I personally think this is why survivors start to throw salt and become toxic, as they are vulnerable to the killer and can't fight back. It's a never-ending cycle, cause when the survivors get toxic, so does the killers, after seeing stuff in the endgame chat that pisses them off, and then the killer might return the favor on innocent survivors. It also goes the other way with killers being toxic, then giving survivors a hard time and they become toxic as well. It's a never-ending cycle, as I said before. A thing I also need to mention is we humans have a tendency to take our sides to heart and just go berserk on the other side, which is what is called tribalism, which is common in most sports today, not just in DBD. With all of this mentioned, then I also want to add that I've received unalive threats by playing as a killer. Not a survivor though, which is kind of strange, but yeah, it happens when I play killer. And I think this behavior is childish and disrespectful, and this should not in any case be an acceptable behavior and should lead to a ban. That shit is not okay. Whether you think that you have been targeted in the game or that you just feel like to say that shit, it's not okay. All it takes is someone having a bad day, people thinking this is either funny or that they have the right to do it, to mess things up horribly, and I think this behavior should result in a ban. Did I ever mention that I've played Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and Call of Duty before, and out of all of those I think League and DBD together are some of the biggest dunk holes when it comes to toxicity in gaming, and it should change. But I know it won't, because that's just how it is in the gaming space. Another thing I want to cover is TTVs and how they are some of the worst players in the game, morally speaking, not in skill. They have an ego the size of freaking Jupiter sometimes, and they think everyone revolves around them. And let me tell you, they are nothing better than the rest of the player base who display toxic behavior on a daily basis. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where streamers, or TTVs, basically go out of their way to just completely throw the salt shaker and just go berserk on whether that's a killer or a survivor. It doesn't matter. It happens a lot. And yeah, that shit is not okay at all. I've met a lot of friendly streamers too who likes to play the game for fun, and they have been some of the nicest people in the community that I've seen, and it's a joy to see entertainment where people are happy-minded. And I would like to see more of these streamers as well, where they spread happiness and positivity in the community. It's not okay to just spread negativity. Remember this, we can all have a bad day and be tilted, but going over the edge and start sending unalive threats to others and telling them to go off themselves beyond the in-game chat because you're lost in a game to someone who's better, then go take a break from the game. I have felt the tilt once in a while, and I will go take a break myself from the game if I get too frustrated. In the end, it's a game and should be fun to play, otherwise, why are people playing it? With all this said, there are some bad apples, and I know this video might be ranting about a small part of the player base, but I think it's a really important subject to cover in the end, cause this shit is not okay. I would like everyone to think about everything I've said in this video, and think twice every time you go to the endgame chat to throw the whole salt shaker in there, and go berserk on your fellow players for playing a game they enjoy to play. Be nice to each other, in the end, it's just a game. What do you think about the toxicity in Dead by Daylight? And have you experienced nice people or horrible toxic people that you can't stand? Tell me in the comment section down below. I would like to hear your opinion on this matter. Leave a like on this video, click the bell icon for notifications, and subscribe to my channel for more content. All my links in the description. Scott out. Bye. Be nice to each other.